Hello my dear students, so welcome to a very new session for the human reproduction. In our today's session we discuss a very important topic, that is the menstrual cycle. This is the very important topic not only for your exam, this is the very important topic for your daily lives. So you today learn very basic things about the menstrual cycle. But what is the menstrual cycle and what is happening in that particular cycle, that is we discuss in our today class. Now first of all, you know what is the menstruation cycle. This is also be called the reproductive cycle. That means it is a cyclic events starting from the menstruation till the next during the reproductive period. So this is a cyclic events and happening in every month, right? And you know total duration. What is the total duration of the menstrual cycle? That is the total duration of the menstrual cycle is the 28 to 29 days, right? It is the total duration. So total all of these events takes place in between 20 and 29, 1 to 29 days. Total events are happening in that menstruation cycle. You know, menstruation cycle not is happening in the human beings, it is also be happening like other primates, like monkeys. All the females of the primates have this type of cycle that is called the menstrual cycle. And what is happening in the menstrual cycle? This menstrual cycle are very unique characteristic features of the female, right? So in that particular cycle, the ovarian cycle and uterine cycle, two important events is there. Because in that cycle when it is happening, that time something changes in the ovary. Another one, some uterus, oviduct and vagina, there also be some changes are happening in that particular time. We already know the different parts of the female reproductive system, but menstrual cycle, these two parts is very important. And what is happened in that particular two site, which is we discuss in that particular session. Now total menstruation cycle, it is divided into the four phases. Number one, menstrual phase. Second one, follicular phase or proliferative phase. Third one, ovulatory phase. And fourth one, that is the secretory or the luteal phase. We already know that the menstruation cycle are the 28-day cycle. But first 1 to 5 days, generally, right, 1 to 5 days, this is called the menstrual phase. So this is the menstrual phase. 5 to 13 days, up to this 13 days, this ultimately part are called the follicular phase or proliferative phase. And 14 days, this is the most important day, in which days the ovulation takes place. That means the secondary oocyte or the egg are released from the ovary, that is called the ovulation. And in which day this takes place? In every month in the menstruation periods, the 14 days, so it is called the ovulation phase. Fourth one, it is the secretory or luteal phase. We already know that menstruation total menstrual cycle is a 28-day cycle. So 15 to 28 days total, this ultimately period is called the secretory phase. Clear? That is very important. But now we discuss what is happening in every phase. Very important. Now 1 to 5th days, it is called the menstrual phase. In that time the cycle starts with the menstrual flow or the bleeding. In that time you can observe that from the female body some blood are released. But why the blood are released? because it is the human body structure, female body structure. In the vagina, and it is the uterus. In the uterus, different region or different layers is there that is break down in that particular time. So the blood vessel also will rupture. So blood release in that particular day, generally it is last for 3 to 5 days. So endometrium, it is the most important layer of the uterus which is break down in that time. It is degenerate in that time. Okay. Now the menstruation occur, very important. Menstruation occur if the release ovum is not fertilized. If the fertilization takes place, that time menstruation is not happening. Right? So it is a result of breaking down of the endometrium lining and uterine blood vessel. So in the uterus, they have some blood vessels. This is rupture. So that blood release from the female body with unfertilized ovum also be released in that particular time. Now the lack of menstruation indicate the pregnancy, but any times other different also reason is there for which the menstruation also not be takes place, right? But most commonly it is said that when any couples, right, that time the females have no menstruation, that indicate the pregnancy. And it may also be caused by the stress, poor health. That time also the menstruation is not takes place. When the menstruation is not takes place, that time it is 100% indicated it is pregnant, the female. That is not the true, because another some reason is there by which the menstruation also do not takes place. Now very important, the second phase of this menstruation phase, that is the follicular or proliferative phase. In that phase, it is a 5 to 13 day it is happening. It start in the 5th day after the menstruation and complete 8 to 12 days. But in that time, two important hormone is there. One is the FSH and LH, that means the follicle stimulating hormone and the luteinizing hormone. These two hormones takes the very important role. But you know from where these hormones are produced? This is produced in the pituitary gland. This hormone takes a very important role. FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, it stimulates the development of primary follicle into the Graafian follicle. You can observe that inside the ovary. In that it is a Graafian follicle, and inside that the egg cell is there. One by one and step by step, these Graafian follicles are formed by this help of this FSH hormone. When the Graafian follicles are matured, that time they release also some hormones. Most commonly it is called the estrogen. What is the name of the hormone? The estrogen. From where it is ultimately produced? It is produced from the ovary. Especially the Graafian follicle is released this type of hormone, which is the most and most important hormone of the female body. Already you know it. Now the estrogen, what is their function? This question may be coming into your exam. Number one, it is ultimately help to qualification of the rupture uterine endometrium. The endometrium is ruptured in the first phase. Now it is a recovery time. But how the recovery is done? By the help of this estrogen is there. Now the secretion of LH, the luteinizing hormone, this is the most important. And in the ovulation phase, that means the 14 days of the cycle, where the LH hormone take the peak, that means the maximum hormone of the LH are released in the 14 days. In that particular time, what is happening now? Now the Graafian follicle breaks and the secondary oocyte release from that part. This is called the ovulation. And where it is happening, in which time? This is the 14 days of the menstruation cycle, and LH hormone take the very important role to rupture this Graafian follicle and release the secondary oocyte. It is called the ovulation. It is called ovulation. Very important. But you know, 14 to 28 days, this time is the secretory or the luteal phase. So something as secretion are happening in that system. So they are called the secretory phase. But what is secretion is happening in that particular time? You know, when the secondary oocyte release, this is the very important structure that is called the corpus luteum. You can observe that it is the yellowish color substance which takes the most important role to production of the progesterone. So what is the function of the corpus luteum? They secrete the progesterone. This progesterone hormone have very important function is that the endometrium is maximum thick and soft. You can observe it due to help of this progesterone which is secreted from corpus luteum, right? Very good. Now, another important that if the fertilization is not happening, that time what is happening? Corpus luteum, they are degenerated, they are destroyed right now, and also it causes the disintegration of the endometrium. It leads to the next menstruation of the next cycle. So this is the 4 events. You can observe that. But you know, during the pregnancy, all events of the menstruation will stop. There is no menstruation. You can bear in mind. This is the most important. So this is the 28-day cycle. You can observe that the estrogen, progesterone, LH and FSH hormone, in which time they produce the maximum level. This is the 14 days where the maximum they can reach, but progesterone and estrogen, they are produced not in the 14 days, they produce maximum in 21, 22, and the progesterone is produced in the 24 or 25 days. This picture is very important, right? So 2 important information is there. This is very important to your class. One is the menarche, another one is the menopause. Menarche, that means the first menstruation during the puberty, when a female are attain the puberty. Puberty means the sexual maturity. When they are attain the sexual maturity, that time, first time the menstruation start, it is called menarche. On the other hand, stopping of menstruation cycle about the age of the 15 years, 50 not 50 years, that time permanently stop the menstruation cycle. This is called menopause, right? So menarche and menopause is the very important 2 terms that is very important to your class. Now the menstruation cycle we already discussed it. Now we discuss a very important topic, that is the after fertilization. After fertilization, what is happening? But you know, during the copulation, that means in the sexual intercourse, when male and female are sexual intercourse to each other, that time semen is released by the penis into the vagina. It is a vaginal part. Semen are released in that particular position. You know what is the semen? Semen is a mixture of sperm and other substance. It is a semen, nothing more. Now what has happened now? So sperm, they travel into vagina, cervical canal, uterus, isthmus and the ampullary region of the fallopian tube. On the other hand, from the ovum, they are released from the Graafian follicle and they enter into the fallopian tube, right? Fimbriae, it is a part of the fallopian tube. Next, the infundibulum and ampulla. So in that part the male gametes are coming, and in that part the female gametes are coming. Now the fusion time or the fertilization takes place ampulla isthmus junction point in the fallopian tube, right? So this is, you can observe that it is a very important question for your syllabus. But after the fertilization, a diploid cell are produced, that is called the zygote. But cell division process is not stopped. Now it is a start. What type of cell division process it is start? It is the mitosis process. Now the 2 cell, 4 cell and 16 cell are produced. This is called the modular stage. After that, cell division are continues, and one very important structure form, that is called the blastocyst. What is the name of this structure? That is the blastocyst. Blastocyst is a very unique structure, right? You can observe that in the blastocyst structure, a trophoblast layer and the inner cell mass structure is there, which is implanted into the uterine wall, right? Which is implanted, that means attached with the uterine wall where the grow the fetus. You can observe that it is ultimately the zygote, that is a 2 cell, 4 cell, 8 cell stage. After that the blastocyst are formed, which is implanted into the uterus. It is implanted, that means attached to the uterus where they are grow on that particular regions. That is a very important. Now this is a embryo or grow on it. After implantation, some finger like projection is also be produced, that is the craniolic villi. Craniolic villi is produced. Also you know the placenta are formed. So the craniolic villi and uterine tissue are interdegenerated and produce the placenta. This is the most important structure of the placenta. And what is the function of the placenta? It is the most important question for your class. What is the function of the placenta? Number 1, placenta acts as a barrier between the fetus and the mother. Number 1. Number 2, supply the oxygen and nutrient from mother to fetus, because fetus is a living thing, so they require the oxygen, they require the nutrient but from where they get it? They get it from the mother by the help of this placenta. Another one, carbon dioxide and excretory waste, it is produced in the fetus, it is required to remove from the fetus body. But how it is happening? It is happening by the placenta, and from the fetus it is removed out from the mother body, and from the mother body it is exit out, right? And some hormones also be produced from the placenta. So placenta act as an endocrine gland. So what is the different hormones are produced? Like the human chronic gonadotropic, tropin HCG, also the human placental lactogens, estrogen and progesterone, relaxin, all these type of hormones are produced from the placenta, right? Very good. Now you know Punctuation, gestation period. What is the mean by gestation period? Total timing that is happening in the pregnancy's time when the baby are formed. You can observe that change to embryo during the pregnancy, first month, second month, third month, and after 9 months they are fully mature, right? So parturition, what is the mean? Parturition means it is a process of giving the birth to young ones. It is defined as a parturition. This parturition process is induced by the neuroendocrine mechanism. That means the nervous system and the endocrine system. Oxytocin is the most important hormone which is helped to release the fetus. So it is the endocrine system is involved in that particular process. But not only the endocrine system, also some nervous system are helped in that particular process. So they are called the neuroendocrine system or neuroendocrine process, right? oxytocin take the important role. But after parturition, the mammary glands produce the milk towards the end of the pregnancy. It is called the lactation. You know what is the best food of the baby? It is a breast milk, right? But the yellowish color milk are produced, that is during the initial few days of the lactation. This yellowish color milk are called the colostrum, and this contains very important proteins and antibodies is there, right? So very important. Breast milk is the best food from the human baby. Not only the human baby, other some mammals, this is the best food, right? So this is the human reproduction. This chapter now, today we complete whole the chapter. Last week we are discussing the first part, and today we discuss in the second part, right? So this chapter is now completed. If you have any some problem or any doubts, please you write down in the comment section. I discuss it in the next class. So thank you very much all of you, and wish you best of luck.